The massive stone doors groaned open, and every wolf in the grand hall turned to stare. Aria walked through them like she owned the damn world. One hand rested on her belly, 8 months round, impossible to miss, and the other held the edge of her midnight blue gown. The lichen crown sat on her head, catching torchlight and scattering it like stars across the vaulted ceiling. She wasn't nervous. She should have been. Every alpha in the southern territories was gathered here, including the one man who'd destroyed her. But fear had died in the snow 6 months ago, frozen alongside the girl she used to be. Her eyes found him before he saw her. Kade, alpha of the southern pack, her ex-mate, the man who'd thrown her away like garbage, who'd told her she was broken, cursed, barren. He sat at the center table next to Sarah, Aria's sister, his new Luna, looking hollow and exhausted. Sarah whispered something sharp in his ear, but Kade didn't seem to hear. He stared into his wine like it held answers he'd never find. Then he looked up. His face went white. The wineglass slipped from his fingers and shattered against the marble floor, red liquid spreading like blood across white stone. The hall fell silent. Every eye tracked from Kade's stricken expression to Aria's pregnant belly and back again. The math was simple enough. 2 years of desperate trying, while she was his mate. Nothing. 6 months since he'd rejected her and thrown her into the Frozen Wildlands to die. And now she stood before them, glowing and radiant, and 8 months pregnant with a child he'd been too blind to see. Aria smiled, not warmly, not kindly, or like a wolf baring teeth. Beside her, the Lycan King, 7 feet of scarred muscle and black armor, placed his hand on the small of her back, possessive, protective, a silent declaration that sent ripples of shock through the assembled wolves. 6 months earlier. Chapter 1. The Lie. The storm hit just after sunset, wind screaming through the trees like something wounded and dying. Aria knelt on the floor of the healer's hut, rain-soaked and shaking, while Kade paced like a caged animal. The healer, an ancient she-wolf, with milky eyes and gnarled hands, bent over a clay bowl, filled with what she called a moon water. Sacred water blessed under the full moon, meant to reveal the truth of a womb's fertility. Aria's womb, her cursed, broken, useless womb. 2 years. 2 years of this same ritual every month, and every month the water stayed clear. Oh, no shimmer, no glow, no sign of life. But this morning had been different. Aria had woken with nausea so strong she'd barely made it to the basin before retching. Her breasts ached, her head spun, and beneath it all, so faint, she'd thought she imagined it, a second heartbeat. Not her own. Something new, something precious. She'd spent the entire day touching her stomach in secret, whispering silent prayers to the goddess. Please, please let this be real. The healer lifted the bowl, tilting it toward the candlelight. The water inside remained perfectly, devastatingly clear. Well, Kade's voice cracked like a whip. What does it say? The healer's expression was carefully neutral, too neutral. The moon water shows no life, Alpha. After 2 years. She set the bowl down with finality. Her womb is dead. Aria's breath caught. No, that's not... I felt something this morning. I know I did. Aria. Kade didn't look at her. He stood at the window, shoulders rigid, staring out at the storm. Don't! But Kade, please, just listen. I have listened. He spun around, and the raw fury in his face made her flinch. For 2 years, I've listened to excuses and maybes and false hopes while the pack dies around us. The elders are threatening to replace me. Our borders are shrinking, because I have no heir, no strength to pass on, nothing but a barren mate who can't give me what every other Luna provides without even trying. The words hit like physical blows. Aria's hands trembled in her lap. The healer could be wrong. If we just wait a few more weeks. Wait? Kade laughed, harsh and bitter. Wait for what? Another month of bleeding? Another year of failure? The pack can't afford to wait, Aria. I can't afford to wait. The door opened. Sarah stepped inside, her cloak dusted with snow, her expression perfectly calibrated between concern and sympathy. Aria's sister, 2 years older, 2 inches taller, and infinitely more ambitious. I heard shouting. Sarah's eyes went to Aria, still kneeling on the floor. Oh, sweetheart. The test didn't go well. She's barren. Kade said it flatly, like announcing the weather. The goddess has turned her face from her. Sarah moved to Kade's side, placing a gentle hand on his arm. The touch looked comforting, supportive. But Aria saw the satisfaction gleaming in her sister's eyes. I'm so sorry, for both of you. This must be devastating. Sarah, please. Aria started to stand, reaching toward her sister. You know me. You know I wouldn't lie about this. This morning, I felt a phantom pregnancy. Sarah's voice dripped with false compassion. It's common in women who are desperate. The mind creates symptoms that aren't really there. I've read about it. I'm not imagining this. Aria. Sarah crouched down, taking Aria's hands in hers. Her grip was too tight, fingers digging in just shy of painful. I know this is hard to accept, but you have to face reality. The healer has confirmed what we've all suspected for months. You're broken. It's not your fault, but it's the truth. Aria jerked her hands away. You paid her. Silence crashed through the hut like thunder. What? Sarah's expression shifted to hurt confusion, perfectly performed. Paid who? The healer. Aria's voice shook, but she forced the words out anyway. You paid her to lie, to say I'm barren when I'm not, because you want Kade for yourself. Sarah stood slowly, one hand pressed to her chest, like Aria had stabbed her. Kade, you hear this? She's not just desperate. She's delusional, paranoid. She's accusing me of... She let tears well in her eyes. I'm your sister, Aria. How could you think I'd do something so cruel? Kade looked between them, exhaustion and doubt warring in his expression. Then his gaze settled on Aria, still kneeling, still shaking, still clinging to a hope that made her look pathetic. She saw the moment he chose. Aria. His voice had gone flat, empty. The elders are meeting tomorrow morning. They've given me an ultimatum. Produce an heir within the year, or step down. Then we have time. I don't have time. The words exploded from him. I have a pack dying because I'm weak. Because I don't have a son to secure our future. Because I tied myself to a defective mate who can't fulfill the one duty expected of her. Defective. The word lodged in Aria's chest, like a blade. Kade turned to Sarah. His shoulders sagged with defeat. The elders suggested an alternative. If my current mate is infertile, I'm within my rights to choose another. Someone proven. Someone fertile. Sarah's expression flickered. Triumph quickly masked as reluctance. Kade, I couldn't possibly. Aria is my sister. You've already given birth once, haven't you? Kade's voice was mechanical, like he was reciting from a script the elders had written for him. Before you came to the Southern Pack. A daughter, if I remember correctly. Yes, but... Then you can give me a son. He looked at Aria then, really looked at her, And there was nothing in his eyes but tired resignation. I'm sorry, Aria, but the pack comes first. It always has to come first. Aria couldn't breathe, couldn't think. The hut spun around her, Sarah's face blurring with the healers, Kade's words echoing like hammer blows. Defective, barren, broken. No. The word came out small, powerless. Kade, please, I'm begging you. Just give me a few more weeks. Let me prove. There's nothing to prove. He moved toward the door, Sarah following like a shadow. I'll perform the rejection ceremony tomorrow at dawn. Pack your things. After the bond is severed, you'll need to leave the territory. Where am I supposed to go? Aria's voice cracked. I have no pack, no family except... She looked at Sarah. Her sister, her blood, except her. Sarah's smile was small and private, and absolutely venomous. Well, I'm sorry, sister, but Kade's right. The pack must come first. The door slammed shut behind them. Aria knelt alone in the healer's hut, listening to their footsteps fade into the storm. The healer moved quietly, cleaning up the bowl of moon water. She didn't look at Aria. You lied. Aria's voice was hollow. Didn't you? The old she-wolf's hands stilled. For a moment, Aria thought she'd deny it. Then her shoulders slumped. Your sister paid well, enough to secure my grandchildren's future. I'm sorry, child, but we all do what we must to survive. Aria laughed. It came out broken and wrong. I'm pregnant. I felt the heartbeat this morning. I know. The healer's voice was barely a whisper. The moon water glowed. Just a shimmer, but it was there. I told your sister it wouldn't work, that the truth would come out eventually. She said it didn't matter. She only needed you gone long enough to secure the bond. Gone. Aria touched her stomach, where that second heartbeat pulsed like a secret. If she stayed, Sarah would make sure neither of them survived to threaten her new position. A tragic accident, tainted food, a fall down the stairs. No one would question it. No one would care. Aria stood on shaking legs. Where's the nearest territory border? North. The healer pointed through the window at the storm-shrouded mountains. The Frozen Wildlands. But child, nothing survives up there. The Lycan King's territory starts somewhere in those mountains, and he doesn't welcome trespassers. Good. Aria pulled her soaked cloak tighter. Then maybe he'll kill me quickly. She walked out into the storm without looking back. Chapter 2. The Snow. The rejection ceremony happened at dawn in the pack square, with the elders and half the pack as witnesses. Aria stood before Kade in the grey morning light, ice crusting her cloak, her hair still wet from yesterday's storm. She'd spent the night in the stables, too afraid to return to the pack house, where Sarah waited with her poisoned smiles. Kade wouldn't meet her eyes. He stared over her shoulder at nothing, his jaw set, his hands fisted at his sides. I, Alpha Kade of the Southern Pack. His voice carried across the square, formal and empty. Reject you, Aria Moonborn, as my mate and my Luna. The bond snapped. It felt like someone had reached into Aria's chest and ripped out her lungs. The world tilted, her knees buckled. For one terrible moment, she couldn't breathe at all, just gasped, like a fish drowning in air while agony burned through every nerve. And beneath her ribs, that second heartbeat stuttered. No, please, goddess, no. The baby felt it too. The severing, the loss. Without a mate bond to stabilize the pregnancy, Aria's body would start rejecting it. She had days, maybe a week if the goddess was merciful. She looked up at Kade through tears. She refused to let fall. His face was stone. Behind him, Sarah watched with barely concealed triumph. Aria opened her mouth. The truth sat on her tongue like poison. I'm pregnant. You just killed your own child. But if she told him now, he'd never believe her. He'd think she was lying, desperate, pathetic. Or worse, he'd believe her, and Sarah would make sure Aria never lived to see the baby born. So Aria swallowed the words and stood on shaking legs. I'll be gone by nightfall, she said quietly. Kade nodded once, then turned and walked away, Sarah's hand already sliding into his. The elders dispersed, the pack scattered, their whispers following Aria like carrion birds. She walked through them with her head high and her hands pressed against her stomach, shielding the life inside her from their judgment. She made it to the edge of the territory before her legs gave out. The Frozen Wildlands earned their name. Snow fell in thick, heavy curtains that turned the world into endless white. The trees were skeletal fingers, clawing at a grey sky. The wind cut through Aria's cloak like knives. She'd grabbed what she could carry. A water skin, dried meat, a thin blanket. Not enough. Not nearly enough. But she hadn't dared return to the pack house to gather more. Now, 3 hours into the mountains, she was already losing feeling in her fingers. Keep moving. She forced one foot in front of the other, breath coming in sharp gasps that burned her lungs. Just keep moving. But to where? To what? Even if she survived the cold, where could she go? No pack would take in a rejected, pregnant female. She had no skills, no trade, nothing to offer except a womb that everyone believed was broken. And the baby that had already caused so much pain and hadn't even been born yet. Aria stumbled. Her boot caught on a snow-hidden root, and she went down hard, hands plunging into the deep powder. The cold bit immediately, seeping through her gloves, numbing her palms. She tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't cooperate. Get up! You have to get up. But exhaustion dragged at her like chains. Her head throbbed where she'd hit it falling. Her ribs ached with each breath, and the baby, that fragile, precious heartbeat, was growing fainter. I'm sorry. The words came out as a whisper swallowed by wind. Aria pressed both hands to her stomach, tears freezing on her cheeks. I'm so sorry, little one. I tried. I tried so hard to keep you safe, and I failed. Just like I fail at everything. The snow fell heavier. Aria's vision blurred at the edges, darkness creeping in like fog. She thought of her mother, dead 3 years now. Would she be disappointed? Ashamed that her daughter had become this, broken and dying in the snow with a child that would never draw breath? She thought of Kade, of the way he used to smile at her, back before the trying started, before the failures mounted, yet before everything turned to ashes. She thought of Sarah, of her sister's face in that final moment at the healer's hut, calm and satisfied, like she'd finally won a game Aria hadn't known they were playing. Let them have it. The thought drifted through Aria's fading consciousness. Let them have the pack, and the power and each other. I just want to sleep. Her eyes closed. The cold didn't hurt anymore. Everything was going pleasantly numb. Above her, a raven called out. Its black wings cut through the falling snow, circling once, twice, before everything went dark. Aria woke to warmth, not the biting cold of snow and wind, but real warmth, fire warmth, the kind that soaked into frozen bones and made you believe in living again. She opened her eyes slowly, confused because she was supposed to be dead. The room around her was carved from stone, rough walls, vaulted ceiling, a massive fireplace where flames crackled and popped. Thick furs covered her body. The bed beneath her was soft, so soft it felt like sin after sleeping on frozen ground. "Where?" "You're awake." The voice came from across the room, deep and rough, like gravel scraping over steel. Aria's head turned, her vision swam, but she could make out a figure leaning against the far wall. Big, no, not just big, massive. Easily 7 feet tall, broad-shouldered, wearing black armor even though they were indoors. The Lycan King. It had to be. Nobody else would look like that. Like violence given form and purpose. Terror should have flooded through her. Every wolf knew the stories. The beast of the north. The wolf eater. I knew a monster who killed alphas for sport and decorated his borders with their bones. But Aria was too tired for fear. "Where am I?" Her voice came out cracked and raw. "My territory." He didn't move from the wall, but his eyes, pale and sharp as winter ice, tracked her every breath. "You collapsed 1/2 mile from my borders. My patrol found you before the cold finished, what your alpha started." Aria's hands moved instinctively to her stomach. Still round, still there. "The baby, alive." Something in his voice softened, just fractionally. "Both heartbeats are strong." Both. He could hear both. Aria's eyes burned with tears. She was too dehydrated to shed. "I need to leave. I'm sorry I trespassed. I didn't mean to. I'll go now." "You're not going anywhere." Not a threat, just a statement of fact. "You can barely sit up, let alone walk. And even if you could, where exactly do you think you're going? Back to the alpha who threw you out? Back to the sister who wants you dead?" Aria froze. "How do you?" "You talk in your sleep." He pushed off the wall, moving with a predator's fluid grace despite his size. "About a healer who lied. About a sister who paid for the lie. About an alpha too stupid to realize his mate was carrying his child." He stopped at the foot of the bed, arms crossed over his chest. The firelight caught scars on his face, a jagged line bisecting his left eyebrow, another cutting through his jaw. "So here's what's going to happen," he continued. "You're going to stay here until you're strong enough to travel. You're going to eat, sleep, and let my healers make sure that Pup survives. And then, if you still want to leave, I'll escort you myself to whatever territory you choose." Aria stared at him, at this massive, terrifying creature, offering her safety like it was simple, like it cost him nothing. "Why?" The word came out broken. "Why would you help me? You don't know me. I'm nothing. You're a pregnant female who was left to die by the wolves who should have protected you." His voice went cold, hard. "That's all I need to know." He turned toward the door, his hand on the latch. "I lost my mate 5 years ago," he said without looking back. "Childbirth complications. The healers told me she was too weak to carry, but I didn't listen. I thought..." He stopped, drew a breath. "I thought love would be enough to save her. It wasn't." The door opened. Cold air rushed in from the corridor beyond. "I won't let another female die because some bastard valued pride over her life," he said. "You'll stay here. End of discussion." The door closed behind him with a soft click. Aria lay in the massive bed, staring at the vaulted ceiling, one hand pressed to her belly, where the baby, her miracle, her reason for surviving, kicked softly against her palm. For the first time in 2 years, she let herself believe in possibility. Chapter 3. The Beast. The first week passed in a haze of sleep and healing. Valen's healers came and went like ghosts, quiet she-wolves who checked Aria's wounds, fed her broth that tasted like actual food, instead of the thin gruel she'd subsisted on back home, and asked no questions about the bruises or the rejection scars marking her skin. The castle itself was nothing like Kade's pack house, on no cold stone hallways filled with judging elders, no whispered conversations that stopped when she entered a room, just warmth and quiet, and the occasional howl of wind beyond the thick walls. Valen himself appeared exactly once a day, always at sunset, always carrying a tray of food that he'd set on the table beside her bed before retreating to the chair by the fireplace. He never tried to touch her, never asked invasive questions, just sat in silence while she ate, his presence somehow both threatening and comforting. On the 8th day, Aria finally found the courage to speak. "Why do you do this?" She set down her spoon, indicating the room, the food, everything. "Personally, I mean, you're a king. You have servants." Valen's pale eyes flicked to her, then back to the fire. "Your sister sounds resourceful, but I don't trust anyone else to make sure your food isn't poisoned." The casual way he said it, like assassination attempts were everyday occurrences, should have been alarming. Instead, Aria found herself almost smiling. Sarah's ambitious, not stupid. She wouldn't risk angering the Lycan King. Wouldn't she? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. She pushed you out of your pack while you were pregnant. She bribed a healer to destroy your future. What makes you think she'll stop, just because you ran north? Aria's hands curled around her belly protectively. She got what she wanted. Kade, the lunar position. There's no reason for her to come after me. Except you're carrying proof of her crime. Valen's voice was matter-of-fact. That baby in your belly is evidence that the healer lied. If you survive, if the child is born, and Kade will know the truth, and your sister's carefully constructed power will crumble. Ice slid down Aria's spine. You think she'll try to kill me? I think she already did. She just assumed the Wildlands would finish the job for her. He stood, moving to the window that overlooked the snow-covered mountains. But you survived, which means she has a problem. So, what am I supposed to do? Hide here forever? No. He turned back to face her, and something in his expression had shifted. Calculating, considering. You're going to become someone she can't touch. Aria blinked. I don't understand. My council has been pressuring me to take a queen. Valen's tone was flat, like he was discussing trade agreements. They think the bloodline needs securing. I've refused every candidate they've suggested because I have no interest in a political marriage to some alpha's daughter who sees me as a stepping stone to power. I'm sorry, but I don't see what that has to do with marry me. The words hit like a physical blow. Aria's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. Valen continued as if he'd suggested something perfectly reasonable. It would be a political arrangement. I claim you as my queen, and the child as my heir. No one would dare question the Lycan King's son. Your sister loses her leverage, because even if she exposes the truth, it doesn't matter. The baby has my protection and my name. And he paused. I get the council off my back about heirs and alliances. You want to marry me to solve a political problem? Aria's voice came out faint, disbelieving. I want to offer you a solution that keeps you and your child alive. He moved closer, crouching down so they were eye level. This is a transaction, Aria. Nothing more. You'd have your own chambers, your own space. I wouldn't... He stopped, jaw tightening. I lost my mate. I'm not looking to replace her. This would be a marriage in name only. Aria's mind spun. It was insane, impossible. She barely knew this male, this creature of legend, who'd somehow become her unlikely savior. But the alternative was what? Wandering from pack to pack with a newborn, begging for scraps and shelter, constantly looking over her shoulder for Sarah's assassins, raising a child in fear and poverty. If I said yes, she began slowly, what would you get out of this? Really? Peace. The word came out tired. Ancient. The council stops pushing. Your child gets a father's protection, and I don't have to watch another female die because I was too proud or too stupid to help. His eyes met hers, and for the first time, Aria saw past the scars and the armor to something raw underneath. Guilt, old and deep, and still bleeding. All right, she whispered. Valen's expression didn't change. All right? I'll marry you. Aria's hands trembled on her belly. For the baby, for protection. But I need you to understand something. What? I don't love you. I don't even know you. And after what Kade did, after what my sister did, I don't know if I'll ever trust anyone again. Her voice cracked. So if this is real, if this offer is genuine, then you need to promise me one thing. Name it. Don't make me love you. The tears came now, hot and painful. Don't be kind or gentle or anything except exactly what you are. A king who needs an heir, and a queen who needs safety. Because I can't. I can't survive being broken again. Valen studied her for a long moment. Then he stood and offered his hand. I promise, he said. This is business, nothing more. Aria took his hand. His palm was rough with calluses, warm and solid against her frozen fingers. Then we have a deal, she whispered. They were married 3 days later in the castle's chapel, with only the priest and 2 guards as witnesses. No grand ceremony, no celebration. Just 2 damaged wolves, making a bargain in the sight of the goddess. And that is where we leave them, standing on the edge of a war, with Kade marching north, and Aria ready to burn the world down to protect her family. If you are screaming at your screen right now, because you need to see Kade's face when he realizes the truth, do not worry, the reckoning is coming. Part 2 drops tomorrow. We are going to see the summit, the shattered glass, and the moment the Lycan King claims his son. So please, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. You do not want to be late for the wedding crashing of the century. See you in the next chapter.